think I flew. Yeah, I flew from London to Sevilla or some city, Valencia, someplace. And I was meaning to go to Barcelona or Madrid, and that didn't end up happening. So I just didn't. I stayed in one of the other cities, and it was good. The people there are really, really nice. Like they're really helpful, and my Spanish is actually really like I can understand when someone talks, and they were so patient with me, and I survived in a foreign place where people are speaking a completely different language, and I knew I could because I can comprehend like 6 different languages, so that wasn't a problem for me. The weather in Spain is really good. It's just like California in so many ways, and I would love to go to like Madrid or Barcelona. Like that's really where I wanted to go, but it didn't end up happening, and that cut my trip short because I had to be back in the United States for something. So I ended up going back to US. But I was like, I was already there. Like I had a place to stay. It was a good experience. The people were helping me out in Spain. I was like, why don't I just stay here? And I had a girlfriend in London when I was in London, and she was like, go to Spain. People there are really, really nice. And I went there and it was a really good experience. But when I went to France, I flew to Paris because this was my Paris layover. So I said, I'm just going to enjoy Paris while I'm there. I was there for like 3 days, I think. And the people are, I don't know, like it's such a stark difference from people in Spain to people in France. It's like, it's really eye-opening over there. And I love Paris. I feel like it's overrated a little bit, but I intentionally only stayed there for 3 days because I feel like if I'm there for any longer, like that city is gonna weigh on me, just like San Francisco weighs on you or any other place, Atlanta, that after a while that city is just gonna weigh on you. And I strategically was only there for 3 days. I did all the touristy things, and I told myself, like, before, I was such a fan of other places in Europe, just like Scandinavia. I was a fan of other places, and I ended up going all those places. I'm like, oh, I don't care about Paris. I don't care about the Eiffel Tower. But when I was there, I was so mesmerized. I saw the Eiffel Tower. I was like, I gotta go see it. I gotta go see it. And I was there. It was so magical, and I'm so glad I did it. The people there, they're not that friendly. Like you got that stereotype of people in France over there, and like I just came from Spain. People were so helpful and friendly. Then you go to France. And it's a completely different situation. But luckily, I was only there for 3 days. And I probably wouldn't go back. I told myself after I left Paris, I'm probably not going to come back here. So my dream places in Europe, Scandinavia, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and Finland. So we did a complete 1 month trip over there in October, like 4 or 5 years ago. I can't remember, but it was my dream to go there since I was a teenager. And luckily, I found a good companion who wanted to go to Scandinavia. I'm like, book me a ticket. I gotta go. So we landed in Denmark. It was nice, quiet place. People there are so friendly and hospitable. And we was there, I think, for 2 weeks. We ended up coming back. So we was there for like 8 days, and then we went to Sweden. And we had a really incredible experience over there. The food in Scandinavia is not that great. People say that a lot, and it's true. But the hospitality, and it's so quiet. Like people will just, when you're driving, they'll wait for you. When you're crossing the street, people will just wait for you, and you don't get that in the United States. And it's a different experience. What I love most about Denmark especially is that nobody drives over there. Everybody's biking, everybody's healthy, eating right, and they have such an emphasis on health over there. And I really appreciated that. And that's something that I took from me when I left Denmark. I'm like, I came here to have a good time. I came here to enjoy other places in the world. And so when I left, I came back to the United States. I prioritized my health even more than I did. And for me, it was just all about walking and exercising, and I took that when I got there. And there isn't much to do in Denmark, but we found a lot of activities, but more so the people. Like if you don't go there for the country itself or to go see anything, at least interact with the people. And that's not something I can say for a lot of places in the world. But Denmark has one of the sweetest people ever. I really enjoyed it. I would love to go back to Denmark or even live there. That would be an incredible experience. And me being a Black woman, and I didn't feel an ounce of prejudice when I was there. It was complete hospitality. Yeah, it's a really, really good country. Sweden is another good place. Stockholm is okay. Stockholm reminded me so much of Los Angeles just because of the way everybody seemed to be in a hurry to get things done, but at the same time, that relaxed nature to them. And yeah, Stockholm felt like Los Angeles in a way. So I'm not a fan of Stockholm, but there's another city on the east, like on the border of Denmark. And it was like a quiet little place, and people there, they're really, really nice. Like the smaller cities, those people act differently and they just treat you like a person, and you don't get that in a lot of cities. Sweden is really cool. I would definitely go back to Sweden. Maybe not Stockholm because I feel like there wasn't really anything um, there. Like people bike there too, but yeah, nothing beats Denmark in my opinion. I would go back to Denmark in a heartbeat. Norway. Norway is the next country. I think we flew for all of that, and I went to Bergen. We had I think we went on like this ferry or this boat ride. It was gigantic, and it was a really memorable experience. I love the layout of the country. Not so much the people in Norway because they're really like indifferent. They don't really want to talk to you or interact with you. But just like I think called the fjords, and it's a really cool place. I love Norway just for the scenery. And everybody eats ice cream, especially in Denmark. Everybody eats ice cream over there. And Finland. Finland was interesting because we were so close to Russia, and I was living in Los Angeles we were living in Los Angeles at the time. And I'm like, I'm close to Russia. That's so cool. So Helsinki, we were in Helsinki. It felt just like New York City. I'm like, there's no way. This feels like New York City right now. Like the taxis, the yellow cabs, and everything. It's a good place. I feel like Finland is good. But it's interesting, like the closer we got to Russia, the more like people seem like they got more unfriendly. Like the further along we went, we got Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and then finally Finland, where people don't even want to look at you. And that's the rhyme when I was in Oslo. I didn't like Oslo at all. People were just like, they're really, really mean in Oslo, and I didn't have a good experience there. But it's a really popular city, especially for Norway. Norway is like the richest country over there in Scandinavia. I feel like Finland didn't really have much to do beyond Helsinki. I don't think we even did anything beyond that. I think we were actually looking for things to do over there, and we couldn't find anything, so we went to Estonia, went to Tallinn, which is an interesting experience. It feels really different from Scandinavia. But my top picks for Scandinavia is definitely Denmark and Sweden. Denmark because of the hospitality and the emphasis on health, and Sweden because there's so much variety. There's a lot more variety in Sweden than there is in Denmark. There's a lot of things to see, and it's not as flat. The weather changes more. Remember, we got rain over there. It was really cool.